Good afternoon. My name is Rachel Becker, and I'm completing the productive and counterproductive behaviors in the workplace assignment. Question 1, how have recent historical events affected the course of research in organizational psychology? Give an example of an event and the resulting outcome. As we embark on the Great Resignation, we can point to a few key things that has caused this mass exodus. First, in my professional opinion, I would say it started prior to COVID with the launch of the Me Too movement. We saw not only women, but established men standing up against the injustice and bias against women, even more in the workplace. Because of technology, the movement grew like wildfire, like never before. And in doing so, it created a smoke signal effect that other oppressed demographics, although not the same flavor of oppression, felt a camaraderie in the power and strength it took for these people to stand up against the oppressor. What follows is something glorious and a bit messy. Other demographics stood up and said, enough is enough too. Me too. This is translated heavily in the workplace. With outdated workplace practices combined with COVID protective measures, people received some downtime that I think has been intentionally stripped from employees over decades so that they don't have time to truly see the injustices that are happening at their expense. It was a perfect storm of circumstance, and we, organizational psychologists, saw it coming, or should have. I have been fighting towards these enormous shifts in company culture since I started working at 16. It was a lonely, hard fight, but now here we are. The path and impact is not lost on me, not one single bit. Next question. Describe the socialization process for graduate students in your program. Is the program successful in socializing newcomers and creating job embeddedness? That's a tough question. The answer for me is no, so far. It's only my first semester. As far as the educational aspect, I find it incredibly rich, so that's not my gripe. I was an undergrad student at Liberty, so I already had an idea of how things were done and didn't expect a major shift in the process. Coupled with my busy lifestyle, I was not very thorough in my preparation for grad school. Two small things that caught me off guard for grad school was that the assignments are due on Sundays now, not Mondays. Not sure why that shift is necessary, if at all, but it took me a few weeks to realize the dates were Sundays, not Mondays. And it took me till the first day of school to realize that ebooks were not given for classes. Although all through grad school, our ebooks were accessed easier, links where to buy them, etc. For grad school, there were a few more steps to get the books. Again, not sure why the process needed to be changed for grad school, but I made notice and adjusted very quickly, day one. I think that if I had more time to read the insane amount of information that gets regurgitated to us when we start a semester, I would have fared better, but I do not retain information in that format, so I would have had to read it multiple times. Better for me to just learn as I go. While we are at it, I do find some professors have been incredibly generous with this, but I do find that the late policies to be a little ridiculous. I get a solid 12 hours every so often to complete work. And I understand that I can be penalized for late work. I understand and accept that. But I would suggest that I would then get bonus points for completing work ahead of time. To me, it is a very logical workaround. Otherwise, we are all grown-ups here. So the semester ends on a certain date, and if you don't have your work turned in, you don't get credit. Just an idea, if anyone's listening. Third question, chapter 4. How can an organization reduce or prevent work-family conflict? First and foremost, they need to remember that we all have families. My dad is an old school boss, leads with fear, scarcity, and micromanaging. I just accepted a 6-figure salary where I have unlimited PTO, full-time benefits, full reimbursement for educational expenses with no disclaimers or rules. And I remember working for $12 an hour and every second had to be accounted for. I know that's $5.13 an hour when I first started working. I know that some industries and some employees require oversight, but I think the key to motivated, productive employees is to treat them as such. There is something very powerful about handing someone power and then being able to be mature enough and have hard conversations of correction when necessary. Maybe if we focused more on that, then we could balance the tension between work and family life. better. Chapter 5. Imagine you've been asked to develop a performance assessment program for employee development, which I've done. What techniques would you use? I first would have them self-evaluate. I then would do peer evaluation and then superior evaluation. So 3. The 3 evaluations would have concurrent themes that interlocked. I would address the 3 responses, but also discuss the average and the differences between the 3 and the 2. Goals or OKRs would then be established to review at subsequent evals and with the 3 responses. Sorry, that's not very long, but it's very basic for me. Chapter 6, final question. What are some possible common organizational constraints? How could they lead to counterproductive behaviors? Micromanaging is the most detrimental organizational practice and constraint that I can think of in my experience and studies. I remember an employee of mine had left for a well-deserved 3-day vacation. She had uncharacteristically missed an important deadline that left me working till about midnight that night. Not only did my boss want me to contact her immediately, I did. I was mad. I wanted her to know that I was mad. I wanted her to feel the angst that I felt as I finished the assignment and project that she had forgotten to. But I knew my employee, and I knew it would eat her up, and I knew I had an opportunity to lead with strength and empathy. I knew that handling this right might suck in the immediate instance, in the present, but that I would create an environment where it was okay to mess up, to have a safe space, to be human, because we all are. And my theory was that she would see the different environment that everyone had been used to and buy in even more. And I was right. She worked for me for over 3 years, and the only reason we parted ways is because I left for a new opportunity. If I acted differently, I know full well she wouldn't have been there that long going forward. Those are my answers. I love this class. Thank you for your leniency on the late assignment.